Hello, hello. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Um, my name is Mark Shinesk, Senior Application Engineer with Seiler Design Solutions, and welcome to our monthly webinar series. Today, we're going to be discussing the Autodesk Connector for ArcGIS Online in Autodesk Infraworks, and I'll show you some quick workflows in this webinar. We're showing you how the incorporation of the tool and the cooperation that's happening between Autodesk and Esri with ArcGIS Online data, how you can bring that data into your Infraworks models, and a quick way to be able to share that out into your Civil 3D and or Map 3D workflows as well. So with that, I won't hesitate too long. Let's begin. If anybody can't see my screen, please go ahead and make a comment, or if you're having problems hearing my voice, please don't hesitate to raise your hand or type in a question. We will be taking questions during the webinar at any time, so feel free to ask away and I will take the time to answer. And there'll be a short survey at the end of the webinar as well. And one final thing, the webinar is being recorded. So at the end of the webinar, you'll be receiving a contact email that'll have the recording. If you wish to share that with anybody, please feel free to do so. All right. Actually, I'm going to start with a couple polls. I only have a few. I like to kind of figure out where the audience is with what's going on. So I'm going to launch a couple polls here. I always ask if anybody is using Autodesk Infraworks typically when I'm showing this, but today I'm going to ask if. How often do you use Autodesk Infraworks in your project workflows? If you take a couple minutes to answer this, not at all, once in a while, fairly often, every project, just kind of give me an idea of where we might be showing. Okay, I see some numbers coming in. I'll let this sit here for another 2 or 3 seconds. All right. Okay. Most of you have voted. I'm going to go ahead and close this. All right. And so it looks like we got once in a while, so that's better than what I've seen before. So we got about 80% return rate on the once in a while. Great. Thank you very much. A couple more quick polls. Do you currently use Map 3D in any of your GIS workflows? Are you sticking with Esri? Are you using Map 3D? All right. Okay. Very good. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the poll here. Thank you for voting. So it looks like we're somewhere in the 60-40. So some users are using Map 3D, some are not. I'm going to show you a workflow that we can use Map 3D maybe to glean this GIS data out for use in Civil 3D. As we know, in case you don't know, Civil 3D is built on the basis and backbone of Autodesk AutoCAD and Map 3D. So you have GIS functionality built right into your Civil 3D workflows without having to even exit the program. Okay, so just some terms we're going to throw out here: GIS and BIM data. We're going to be talking about GIS data today. Geographic information systems. It's ability to store, analyze, and present spatial and geographic information in relationship to the Earth's surface. Great for selection potential locations for a project. Works as a data unifier pulling into separate data sets. Building information modeling represents the physical and functional characteristics of built spaces, useful for both building infrastructure projects. There's a tie-in now coming in between Esri and Autodesk to kind of merge GIS and BIM into a single workflow. BIM right now is mostly concerned with Revit models in the Autodesk world. We're kind of seeing that the lines are starting to blur a little bit. We're starting to see that joining of the outside information data with what's happening in the inside of future buildings, and I would say kind of keep an eye out for that to kind of blur those lines blurring a little bit more. So today we're really going to focus on the GIS portion of it with the Autodesk Connector for ArcGIS. In this case, we're able to log in with an ArcGIS Online account. And I'll kind of discuss those as we go through and show you a demo a little bit on that. select our added data, or we can even choose from public data sets. And the wonderful thing about the ArcGIS Online world is that I can publish maps and layered data and GIS data to it and make that available for public share if I want to, or I can keep it private within my own groups. I can assign users and assign groups and keep that locked down, yet be able to share that amongst multiple offices in my location on an internal basis by permission. So I have this ability to find some public data, and a lot of public entities, I'll show you some that I'm going to use today, offer this data out to be able to be used by this product. We can configure our layers as appropriate Infraworks objects. So I can go out and let's say I can find zoning map data, bring that in as a coverage area in my Infraworks model and rule colorize it as I need to. Instead of having to download all those files and store them on my hard drive, I can use this data as I find it. Okay. Then I can continue using this data in Infraworks as I would any other data source. I can create visual rule styles for presentation or analysis. And then the cool thing, and I'm kind of giving you a preview of this. One of the things you can do in Infraworks or Map 3D or Civil 3D is you can create a feature data connection to your Infraworks SQLite file. You know, Infraworks really keeps all its data as a SQLite file. It's basically Infraworks, think of it as a 3D GIS program, and I can make that data connection. So I can find this data on ArcGIS Online, add it to my Infraworks model, and then go back to my Civil 3D and create a feature data connection to it and bring that data into my Civil 3D project. Then I can bulk copy data out as shape files or SDF files as I need to. We'll also show you how you can harness the power of BIM 360 docs to be able to share your visualization with stakeholders outside of your organizations, maybe who don't have Autodesk Infraworks, either using BIM 360 docs and or the shared views ability in Infraworks 2019 and Civil 3D 2019. So enough of the PowerPoint slides. Let's go ahead and get right into it. I have an Infraworks model here. This is a model of, and this is a data set I use because I have a lot of data for it. This could be any area. This is a model builder data set for Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. So I chose this because, you know, Lake Winnebago is good fishing up there. I kind of enjoy it. But I have some good data sets that I'm going to show you to bring in here. So this is a basic Infraworks model from the model builder. You can see there's my planning roads. I have some, if I turn it on the side, you can see some downtown. There's some of the buildings. All this came in with a combination of the model builder, and I had some shapefile data for this as well. So let's say I'm doing some planning, okay, and I need to gather some zoning map data. And it just so happens that the city or a user has published this zoning map data for public consumption on ArcGIS Online. Okay. First, let's talk a little bit, before we get into the connector, I'm going to talk a little bit of ArcGIS Online. In this case, there are kind of two types of ArcGIS Online accounts, and I'm not going to get into too much because I'm not an Esri representative, but for the purposes of the demonstration, you can create a free ArcGIS Online account with limited usage ability. The ability to pull in public data for sure, but if your own ability to publish data is not going to be there. You can only kind of use what's available publicly. In this case, I have some maps and some data I've uploaded in my account. So I have a section here for published zoning data for Fond du Lac County and the city. So that's available to me, and I'll show you how you can find public data and bring that in. For now, I'm just going to show you I have some layer data up here. Now, the data that's available on ArcGIS Online can be layered data, it could be map data, it can be just like, you know, public maps. You can't bring in map data into Infraworks. You can only bring in layer data, so it has to be a layer data. In this case, I had a personal geodatabase I uploaded to my ArcGIS Online account as layer data, and then that allows me to then access that within Infraworks. So you can see I have some railroads and buildings and stuff. I won't be able to see these because these are maps, but the ones that are visible to me are layered data that's going to be available to me from my own account in Infraworks. So I'm going to show you this FDL zoning here in my ArcGIS Online. I'm going to go back to Infraworks and I'm going to connect to that. So starting with the 2018 3 or 2018 2 version of, definitely now in 2019 version of Infraworks, you'll see this little tool up here, this little globe. That is the ArcGIS Online connector, this little guy right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that globe. Now, if you have your account set up, your ArcGIS Online account, the first time you click this, it's going to ask you to log in with your credential information. There'll be a little sign in box right here to sign into your Esri account. I'm already signed into mine, so if I click on this, it's going to take me to another page that's going to load up. It takes a second here, and basically I'm presented with a map using a standard map background, and you can see the shaded area. So that shaded area, it immediately zoomed to my location of where my Infraworks model was. So it's a 101. This was the area of my model builder model, and then here on the left side, it shows me my layered data that I have available. So I showed you that I had that zoning data available as a layered data, plus some of these other ones. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the FDL zoning. And once I do that, then it zooms into the area and it says, okay, and it gives me a preview of, okay, this is the layer, this is the zoning data for the city of Fond du Lac. How do I want to bring that into Infraworks? So what I'll do here is, this is the layer data available, the feature class zones, and I'm going to pick this, and you can see these are the standard types of objects in Infraworks: buildings, coverage areas, easements, parcels, right-of-ways, traffic study areas, watersheds, or water areas. Well, this is going to be a coverage area. I want to do a planning coverage map. So I'm going to choose coverage area. And once that comes in, down here at the bottom, I'm going to choose this button that says add my data to my project. I'm going to select that. It's going to go out. It's going to read that data, connect to ArcGIS Online data, bring it in as a data source, and then refresh my model and bring that data in. So you can see that coverage area is now coming in as a zoning map. Now, right now, it only has one type of rule assigned to it. So, you know, with coverage areas in Infraworks, we have, once I go ahead and I'll select like this coverage area. So what it is it's a zoning coverage. Right now it's using just a standard rule style of the default rule for whatever coverage area I'm bringing in. As I pull down, I'm getting all the standard Infraworks data, but look down here at the bottom as I zoom in. I'll zoom in here on my screen so you kind of see what's going on here. You can see I'm also getting the extended attributes in my model. These are all of the feature class attributes that were associated with that data set. Those become available into my Infraworks model as well. So I can do queries or maybe rule styles or create coverage areas or rule styles based upon any of these attribute classes here. So here I can see this is 4,207 acres, who edited it, the jurisdiction, the length, and here down at the bottom I can see this is zone R-1, okay? If I click over here on this side, I can see that, okay, this little spot right here, this is R3. And down here, this is zoning O. Right downtown here, this should be zone C-1. Once I get those, I can go through and click each zone and maybe independently change the coverage area. Maybe I'll go here to more styles, zoning, and change that to, you know, commercial zone. And that data stays with me, okay? So now you can see I've highlighted the commercial zone. This one right here maybe is manufacturing zone M. So I'll change the coverage of style of that one as well. More styles, zoning, we'll just call it industrial zone. Okay, so as we're going through, we can change the colors of each of these zones. So this data is now in my model. It's connected. It's been imported. If I continue using this and create new proposals, the data will continue on just like any other data source in my proposal. or I can create a rule style instead. For those of you who aren't familiar with style rules, I can create a rule style for this coverage, except now instead of having to search for coverage areas, each new data object that I bring in has its own category. So down here at the bottom, I'll find a separate category. Instead of a coverage, I'll find a separate category for zoning for making rule styles. So then I can go ahead and create a new rule, and maybe I'll say commercial and say okay, and then I'll edit that and make an expression here. So if I'm making expressions in Infraworks with ArcGIS Online data, you will see a new category in the properties for ArcGIS data. That is not available with just regular coverage maps or regular data input, maybe from shapefile or other coverage map, only available if you use the ArcGIS Online data. So I can come here and say, hey, if the ArcGIS zoning equals C-1 or zoning, oops, too many times, Mark. Let's get rid of those. Back. There we go. Or zoning equals C-2 or zoning equals C-3. Okay, that'll be my expression. Oops, what's it not letting me? It doesn't like, oh, I got to use these properties here. Zoning. Oh, okay. Let's say commercial business. Okay, so I got to use those. Or equals commercial recreation or equals general business district. Then add zoning commercial. Say okay. I'll run my rule, and then it will go ahead and it will automatically change the zoning based upon my style rules. So there you can see the zoning maps come up. So I'm treating this coverage area just as if I would treat any other Autodesk coverage area. Once this is done, I can go ahead and share and sync my model with BIM 360, and this ArcGIS data does go up to BIM 360. Now, if those changes from Infraworks in the past for sharing public data, we're now able to use the BIM 360 platform to share our Autodesk networks. I have one up here already, so I'm going to switch over to my BIM 360 account. So here's the city of Fond du Lac with the zoning data I've done already. This is a BIM 360 version of my Fond du Lac utility Infraworks model. And you see the zoning data comes in here. So if I had invited other prospective clients or customers or those interested stakeholders, I can share this data with them and show them this 3D map with the zoning coverage overlays, even if they don't have a copy of Infraworks. As well as I can use the new Autodesk shared view functionality where I can create a shared view of my model. Let's click that again. Looks like my visualization is not going to work the way I wanted it to. And share this out via a hyperlink to be able to use. And I don't know why that's showing up as blank. I'm not getting connection. I might have to restart. And that's okay. So I'll do this. So I'm going to show you one more little trick here. So once I have my data shown in here and I have my coverage area, I brought that in. I'm going to show you how you can get public data. So there's a couple ways you can get public data in here. So let's say I'm going to go back to my master proposal, and I'm going to make a new copy of this. I'm going to add a new proposal. I'm going to call this soils data. Okay. Out there, I know the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources publishes a soil map coverage of this area. And maybe I want to add that in based upon my ArcGIS Online. There's a couple ways I can do that. I can start with my data sources here, click on my ArcGIS Online tool. Again, it's going to go out, find the area. So instead of my content, I can come up here and say public. And I can type in maybe the words soils. Okay, let's see what happens. and hit enter. And now it's going to find soil data, but it might find too much soil data for me to actually find. So maybe we'll come down here to go Wisconsin soil data. Can everybody still hear me okay? Am I on? All right, there we go. Wisconsin soils data. I want to make sure I didn't lose internet. Sorry, everybody. There we go. So there we go. So I typed in a search for Wisconsin soils, and you can see here I see GCSM soil associations. I know this data has been put out by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. So I can click this and add this layer on. This is public data. I have not uploaded this. I have not published this, but I must have. I verified this data. I've gone to the site. This was published in 2017, and you can come here to ArcGIS Online, and you can find that same data. I can go to content. I can search Wisconsin soils. Wisconsin soils. Let's soils. And on ArcGIS Online, it's going to search for that data. I have to turn off the button here that says only search within your organization. And there you can see it. So this is GCM Soil Associations, published by the Wisconsin DNR, updated on July 18th, 2017. Okay, if I go into more detail about that data, I can see that it will be verified. It gives it the description. So whoever published this data in the DNR has given all the disclaimer and all the abilities. So this is my going out. Now, anybody that has an account can publish data for public usage, but you do have to check, you have to verify that the data you're going to get is valid for what you're doing. I trust this data. It's been published by the DNR. They published all their public data on there. So I can go ahead back in my Infraworks model and I'll check that and cover that as a coverage area and add that to my design product. Similar to the way I did the zoning maps, it's going to bring that soils data in, and I can go ahead and classify those coverage areas either by picking each and individual one and giving it a coverage type, maybe one that I create, or I can do the rule style and do that again as that way. So there you can see the data. This is soil type and soil association, the perimeter, and all the information associated with that. Okay, I'm going to go change back one more time to my previous zoning map. So let me go back to my ArcGIS. I'll go back to my other proposal. I'm going to show you one more thing here real quick. So I have my model with my zoning that I brought in. Hey, maybe I'd like to see this in my Civil 3D view or my ArcGIS or my Map 3D view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save and close this model in this configuration. Now with Infraworks, I'm going to have to go ahead, just going back to your home section on Infraworks will not close the model. However, I can either open up another model or exit Infraworks altogether. Once I do that, the model gets closed and all the temporary files and log files get written out. I can then open this maybe up in Map 3D. So you saw me bring that zoning data into my Infraworks model. I'm now going to take that, once I get those coverage areas in my Infraworks model, then I'm going to open that data up in Map 3D or Civil 3D. Now, Civil 3D, like I said, is based on AutoCAD Map 3D. I can change the planning analysis tool in Civil 3D, but I've opened up Map 3D 2019 instead. The first thing I'm going to do, like any other type of GIS data in either Civil 3D or Map 3D, is I am going to assign a coordinate system to my model. In this case, I'm going to use, I believe it is Wisconsin Central. So I am going to type in Wisconsin. Actually, let me do Fond du Lac County. That way, Wisconsin has the county systems. So now I'm be sure to get the right data. So here is Fond du Lac US foot. I can verify that one more time. It's assigned. You can see it's Wisconsin County System, Fond du Lac County US foot. Perfect. Now that I got my data, I'm going to go here and I'm going to make a FDO connection. I'm going to connect to the SQLite connection, and I'm going to browse to my Autodesk Infraworks SQLite file. And I keep that up here in my Infraworks models. It's a 360 model, and it's this guy right here. So I'm going to connect to my Final X equal light file, connect to it. It's going to read all that data, and then down here will be my ArcGIS data that I brought in. Here's all my different coverages, so I can choose those coverage areas that I have added. And it gives it a weird name though, so you're going to maybe have to connect to more than one type. I'll check to all of them just to see what I've brought in. We'll kind of go through the data. I'll turn on and off the layers because I've done this a few times. See, I have pipeline data, railward, point of intersections, railway data. All this at one time I've brought into my model in various usage. I'm going to go ahead and add them to my map, and then you can see that ArcGIS data has now been able to be published into my map 3D as a coverage area. So I'm going to have to, kind of discover what the names of these are. So let me turn off some of these different coverage areas. There we go. So let me turn on my pipes. I might have deleted some of these too. Let's find the first one that's available. And it looks like, there we go. So this is the zoning map actually. So that was the last one. That was the one I closed it in. So here's my zoning information. Again, just like I did in Infraworks, I can click on one of these shapes. I can see that it is zone R3, just like I did before. Once I get to this point, if I want this as drawing data, I can either export, save this map 3D model, export it as an AutoCAD drawing, or I could do any of the other various GIS data that I do, like a bulk copy out to shapefile or STF file, re-import that with the map import tool, and bring that line data in. So right now, that's the workflow I have for bringing ArcGIS data into Infraworks, ArcGIS Online data into Infraworks, and then that Infraworks data into Map 3D. I can't say any more than that. Stay tuned. The new versions of Civil 3D and Map 3D and AutoCAD will be coming out in 2020. We'll stand by. We'll see what maybe new tools that come down the line to bring greater functionality to ArcGIS Online data in more Autodesk products. So that's basically the workflows I have to show you, basically to show you the ability to create an ArcGIS Online account, either purchased or you can create a free account. You cannot publish your own data with a free account, but you do have access to public data if it's published. Be aware of the sources of the data before you bring it in, and then you can go ahead and act on that and possibly improve the design intent and the productivity by adding that data to your Infraworks models. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask with the workflow? I'm waiting. I don't see anything yet. Okay. I don't have anything else for this particular webinar. I hope it has been informative for you. And I hope you explore this. For those of you who are using Infraworks, go out there. Infraworks or Esri was offering a free trial of their ArcGIS Online for contract managers only. I don't know if that's still active anymore. That was last year. I can look into that. If anybody has any questions, they can go ahead and email us. But you, like I said, you do have the ability to get a free account. Just go to ArcGIS Online or Google for it and sign up for it. You can try to utilize this data in. So if nobody has any questions, I'll go ahead and say thank you for attending. I hope this has been informative. Any questions, please contact me at mshineska@seiler-ds.com. You can also email us and contact us at CAD or cadtechnical@seilerinst.com. Please subscribe to our blog, www.seiler-ds.com/blog. We have tips, we have tricks, we have news on the Autodesk world, both Revit based and civil infrastructure based. And we will be publishing a copy of this video on there as well. It'll be on our YouTube page. All that link will be there. Okay. Thank you very much for attending, everybody. And I hope you all have a great afternoon and a great weekend. And thank you for attending. Bye-bye now.